Welcome to the summer novelties from Märklin, Trix and LGB. Please note that we are showing only hand samples of the models here. In the early 1950s, steam locomotives were found everywhere on the route network of the Deutsche Bundesbahn. Efficient operations were the name of the game back then. Thus, it was also necessary to advance push-pull train operations and to have suitable locomotives for this purpose. However, the inventory was far from sufficient. So where could suitable tender locomotives be found? That was the dawn of a new series. At that time, people were quite willing to experiment, as can be seen from the example of the two Class 7810 locomotives.
Es war damals der Versuch, eine Schlepptenderlokomotive in eine Tenderlokomotive umzubauen.
It was an attempt to convert a steam locomotive with a separate tender into a tank locomotive. Two 38s were taken and converted for this purpose. When they realized it wasn't a good idea, it stopped at these two examples. 382890 and 382919 were selected for rebuilding and delivered to the Krauss-Maffei locomotive factory in mid-1950. A distinctive feature was the short tender, which was coupled to the locomotives via a drawbar. The model now appearing with Märklin and Trix reflects the operating condition around 1958.
Die Lokomotive hat eine eingebaute Führerstandbeleuchtung.
The locomotive has built-in cab lighting, the fire flicker and the live coupling on the tender. This can be switched separately digitally. It has lettering with DB kicks and a 3-light headlight. The third top light on each is a DB reflex glass lantern. The lower two are DR lamps front and rear. There is also a new smoke box door and a buffer height according to NEM.
Pufferhöhe nach NEM.
In addition, a smoke set is installed as a standard detail, which can be switched digitally. Furthermore, a locomotive engineer and stoker figure are included. Of course, there are also cars to go with the locomotive.
Das sind 5 Einheitsnebenbahnwagen.
These are 5 standard design branch line cars, for the first time with LED interior lighting. And since the locomotive has a live coupler, the car set can be powered via the locomotive. In addition, one of the second-class cars is equipped with marker lights. With Märklin, the interior lighting can be switched digitally via the locomotive. With Trix, the observation car has a decoder with which the lighting can be switched. It is flicker-free. The car floors and parts of the car body have been redesigned. A beautiful passenger train with a special locomotive at the head that brings the flair of Era 3 to the HFO layout. Era 6 fans are often interested in freight transport. With the 185-367, DB Cargo has a strikingly colorful workhorse in its inventory. Not only is the prototype a very special eye-catcher, but so is the model. Following the presentation of the Minitrix model, a HFO machine will soon be enriching the layouts. It's not just the product manager who gets excited.
The
Günni is a feast for the eyes. It grabs your attention when you're standing at the station, and it passes by with a freight train as its big eyes stare at us. It is a very well-done advertising locomotive. All aboard for this new club model.
Wir haben uns überlegt, den Insider-Club-Mitgliedern
We had thought of offering the Insider Club members and also the Trix Club members a colorful, attractive entry-level model. This is an additional Insider model that we are presenting to our club members this year, and you can look forward to what else the year will bring. This model can be ordered without an order form. You simply go to your favorite dealer, show them your club card, and the Günni is automatically placed on order. The order deadline has been extended.
Das ist richtig. Es waren jetzt die
That is right. Because of the Easter holidays, the mail arrived later for some club members. Therefore, we have decided to extend the order deadline by 2 weeks so that every club member also has the opportunity to order this great model. And so Gunni could then encounter this fancy locomotive on the layout, which is also possible with the prototype. This is the 475-417, which calls the Swiss BLS Cargo its home. Thus, the engine can also be spotted in the Rhine Valley with colorful container trains. Matching cars can be found in the Märklin assortment, or the model railroader already has them in his collection. The model reflects the operating condition around 2021 and shows an appealing pictorial motif with mountaineers and snow-covered mountains.
Wir haben jetzt in den Sommerneuheiten einen BLS Vectron.
We now have a BLS Vectron, a multi-system Vectron with approval for several countries, Switzerland of course, but also for Germany, Austria, Italy, the Netherlands and Belgium. So it gets around a lot in Central Europe. This is evident from the prototypically designed roof garden of the Vectron. It has the A39 country package. The roof-mounted pantograph for Germany and Austria has been raised. After a signal stop, the combined freight train starts rolling again. All 4 axles on the model are powered, which guarantees decent tractive effort. A controlled high-efficiency propulsion is at work on board of the metal model with its many applied details. Thanks to the digital decoder, extensive light and sound functions are available. The model is also available for DC operators from Trix. In the meantime, the 475-417 has reached Switzerland and receives reinforcement for the uphill run in the form of a BLS 465. Such combinations can also be found in the prototype, but the Vectron family is still growing.
Für die Sommerneuheiten gibt es einen neuen Vectron Dual Mode.
Another summer novelty is a new Vectron Dual Mode, the Class 248 of the Pressnitztalbahn in the typical blue color scheme. This model also has built-in cab and engine room lighting and will also be available for Trix. Matching cars are entering the program at Märklin, such as the SGG RSS 80, which also has a high cube box container on board. For Trix fans, the dealer will gladly swap wheel sets. And the Märklin magazine annual half-O scale car for 2023 is a Fab 155.
Ja, wir haben für Belgien das Eurocity Schnellzugwagenset Eurocity 90 Vauban.
We have the Eurocity Express train car set Eurocity 90 Vauban in our program for Belgium. The Eurocity concept was created in 1987 as a successor to the TEE concept, and it has connected the major metropolises in Europe. We have used a small section of it. Our train runs from Zurich to Brussels, crossing Central Europe. The cars have a scale of 1:93.5 and are finely detailed. Interior lighting, live couplers and the marker lights can be retrofitted.
Nachrüsten, stromführende Kupplungen nachrüsten und auch eine Schlussbeleuchtung kann nachgerüstet werden.
The 3-piece set can be completed with this model. Like the other cars, it features fine reproductions of the Fiat Eurofima trucks.
Wir haben auch für die Niederlande den sogenannten Koppelhopper in einer ganz besonderen Farbgestaltung.
For the Netherlands, we have the so-called Koploper with a very special color scheme. It is the blue KLM version. The story goes like this. In 1986, Schiphol Airport got a rail connection from Amsterdam Centraal. So the Dutch railroads painted one of the Koplopers in the typical KLM blue for this line. And it operated there for a while. The 86.6 cm long powered rail car has a digital decoder on board. Interior lighting is a standard feature. The model will also be released by Trix. Back to Belgium. This elegant Era 5 express train slumber coach is also in 1:93.5 scale and shows off comfortable travel. One of the powerful but slow shunting steam locomotives from the Ansbach depot sets off early in the morning with its local freight train to reach its destination on time.
Das ist die 89826.
This is 89826, a former R33 of the Gruppenverwaltung Bayern from the second construction series around 1919 to 1922. 89826 itself was built in 1922. We now have it in its last state around 1960, for example in the 60s of the last century. There is a very nice picture on the internet, which was taken at the BW Ansbach. On it, you can also see the famous railroad photographer Gerhard Moll, and we have chosen this engine as a prototype to implement it in the model. A dust container car, KDS 56, with its high containers follows behind the locomotive. Behind it is a Stuttgart-type stake car, here without stakes, loaded with continuous cast iron. Next is a VTG 2-axle petroleum oil tank car, and finally an open dump car. The special feature here are the printed train and discs. And that is just one of the fine details on this N-gauge car. All four models from the set make a freight train for the branch line typical for that era. The order of the cars can be varied, of course. The 89826 has a die-cast zinc body and girders. 3 axles are powered. Warm white digitally switchable LEDs serve as the headlights. A small locomotive and its cars, made for playing on the layout. Safety is important for track systems. It's the reason measurement trains are in operation. Such a train, hauled by a 120.1, has been added into the Z or Z gauge program.
Die Lokomotive war früher im Verkehrsrot.
The locomotive was formerly traffic red and was repainted to this new color scheme in 2013. Included is a measurement car, which is a former passenger car with 4 axles, and a cab control car in Z or Z with red and white marker light changeover by using LEDs. This fabulous train set is being released in a one-time series. Collectors' hearts will beat a little faster, because the series of manufacturer models is being continued in the investment casting edition. The bronze edition has become a very popular theme among Z-gauge collectors. We continue the series with the 7th vehicle. This is an asset transport car cast in bronze. It has a very high quality and detailed design, and we are already looking forward to the response from our customers. The body and car floor are made of real bronze and have a transparent protective coating. The revised Class 50 is offered in a real wood box. A bell-shaped armature motor provides propulsion. All coupled axles are powered. The design of the engine is rather Christmassy. As we all know, the season of lights always sneaks up on you. A classic makes its appearance in the Royal Class.
Die Epoche 2 Maschine des Krokodils mit der Betriebsnummer.
The Era 2 version of the Crocodile with road number 14311 in the condition of the late 20s, early 30s, that is shortly after delivery from the factories, being issued in Gauge 1. It should be noted that the locomotive has pantographs that can be raised and lowered and a telex coupler at the front and rear. For the first time, it will also be possible to mount a crocodile in the functional showcase and put it into operation there on track. We have adapted the running gear accordingly so that it can be used in the functional showcase.
Der Einsatz in der Funktionsvitrine möglich ist.
Another locomotive beauty, not only for the functional showcase, is the Schorsch, a Class 18 steam locomotive or former Baden 4H. The completely newly constructed model reproduces the prototype locomotive as it can be seen as an exhibit with a road number in the Sinsheim Museum of Technology. Finest details distinguish the model. The equipment package also includes number plates that can be used to label the locomotive either as 18314 or, as in its last operating state, as 020314. There will also be an Era 3 version. Both locomotives are of full metal construction, have current buffers and interesting functions.
Und besonders hervorzuheben,
And especially noteworthy is the steam locomotive driver who operates the controller via a servo motor. And this is not only visible inside the driver's cab, but also outside via the movement of the control rod.
der Regelstange sichtbar.
The model of the 18314 is shown here in prototype condition from 1960, with coal firing and Rico boiler. At that time, the locomotive went to the VESM Halle, an experimental department of the Deutsche Reichsbahn. A dream model. At LGB, a narrow-gauge diesel locomotive is in the starting blocks, the class 2095 of the local Pinzgau Railroad.
Wir haben uns entschieden,
We have decided on the occasion of the triple anniversary, 125 years of the Pinzgau Narrow Gauge Railroad, 65 years of the 2095 series and 50 years of the LGB model of the 2095 to release this locomotive in the Era 4 version, as it also ran freight trains back then, which it no longer does today.
nicht mehr macht.
The local Pinzgau Railroad, also known as the Krimmlerbahn, runs between Zell am See and Krimmel. Between 1958 and 1962, Simmering Graz Pauker delivered 15 pieces of the 2095 series. About a decade later, the Garden Railroad version appeared.
Das Modell kennen wir schon.
We have known the LGB model for 50 years. We have thoroughly refurbished it, using matching window inserts, which used to only be put on the back at the time, and we have changed some details on the roof. Of course, it also includes contemporary equipment with LED lighting and sound decoder. There is an accompanying second-class passenger car, which was used in the original as a caboose, a stake car and a cart that can be rolled, just as the typical Era 4 freight train was in use on the narrow-gauge railroads.
Auf den Schmalspurbahnen im Einsatz war.
The cart has adjustable wedges and brackets for loading normal LGB cars. There is room for a figure in the brakeman's cab of the stake car. The caboose has a fine design that is appropriate for the era. The same applies to the locomotive. A nice train, not only for fans of the Austrian narrow gauge. That was the selection of 2023 summer novelties from Märklin, Trix and LGB. As always, you can find more info on the internet.